Hello, welcome to my studio. I am tucked away down the bottom of the garden in my nice little wooden studio. Hello, welcome to, well, it used to be Q&A with Kate, but now it's Coffee with Kate. And this, I have to admit, is the result of procrastination, something that I have Olympic level skills in. So, for example, I have not met today's word count. I will keep going eventually, but decided, oh, what the heck, I'll do a video. And a video which I probably promised you about 2 years ago. I did a few Q&As with Kate and promised I'd do more and then didn't. I don't quite know why. I probably procrastinated and did something else. Anywho, I do want to get back to doing them. So, here we are. And I have some questions left over from the last time I did it. So I figured I would spend a little bit of time with you drinking coffee and answering some of your questions. And I'm sure that most of you are not interested in the slightest, but I am drinking Peak Bean coffee from Derbyshire, which I often reference on my social media. And it's brewed just up the road from where I was born and bred. And it's fabulous. And whenever I return to England, I have 5-6 bags of the stuff in my bag. Not that you can't get a great coffee over here, but this really is my favourite. And it's like having a little bag of Derbyshire. So, okay, first question is from Alison. Alison, apologies it's taken me so long to get round to answering your question. It's clear your previous career in historic places informs your fiction, but what made you choose to write mysteries instead of, say, historical fiction or historical romance? Well, mysteries because I love mysteries. It's what I read. It's what I've always read. I just thoroughly enjoy it. I'm not a romance reader, so it's just not something I'm particularly bothered about doing. Historical fiction. Why would I not do historical fiction? Because I'm a perfectionist, and having worked in historical buildings and worked with curators and historians and tour guides and all these people who are like sponges and soak up historical information and you know, have the facts at their fingertips or spend their career digging around for facts, I couldn't bring myself to do a half-hearted job. And so, although I do research, and quite a lot of it, not enough that I think would qualify me to do a historical mystery. And like I said, I'm a bit of a perfectionist with that stuff. I wouldn't want to get stuff wrong. It's a bit like I have a retired police detective who reads all my books to make sure that they are accurate, even though there is not much in the way of police procedural, and sometimes you don't see a huge amount of the police. But I want to make sure that what's in there is right or can be explained away with the assistance of a police detective. It's the same with the history stuff. I don't want to make mistakes. I would like to in the future, and who knows, maybe I'll start with a short story or something where I give it a go and see if I feel comfortable doing it. And maybe in the future, if I have more time, I could dedicate more time to each book. So it's not, completely out of the question, but certainly not for the time being. So a question from Patricia. How much factual research have you done, and have you found an easy and logical way to organise the data so you can more easily incorporate it either in a current work in progress or for possible future inclusion? Like I said, I do actually do a fair bit of research. So for example, when I wrote A Capital Crime, there was some historical stuff in there to do with botany and adventurers. So before I started on that book, I was reading a lot about the various people who were bringing plants in to the UK, particularly from America. Some of the first botanists to bring certain plants over to the UK, how they were shipping them, how many of the plants weren't surviving or how they got them over here. I was reading about the history of some of the layouts of the gardens at historical buildings, because some designers want them to reflect nature, some want to control them. I was reading all this kind of stuff. I was reading, and they're up there, which is why I'm looking up there, There was a really interesting book about a present-day botanist who works at the Natural History Museum in London, and is often called upon by the police to murder scenes or scenes associated with murder and crime because of the foliage around there and what might have happened to the foliage that could teach you certain things about the murder, or certain seeds might have ended up on a murder victim's clothes, and where might that body have been to collect that seed. So that was really fascinating. And a couple of other books about explorers that were associated with the Natural History Museum and whose collections are there. In terms of research about the museum itself and behind the scenes, I didn't really need to do that because I worked there for a while. So I was behind the scenes on a regular basis and got to spend time in the botany department. The department I worked in, I did a bunch of work, did a project with the botany department, so I got to go back there. So that was all kind of real life experience. But the research I did, I poured over quite a lot of books for that one. What often happens with my research though is sometimes I will read a ton of books and this much gets in there. It might just be a word or a line. When I wrote A Deadly Ride, which was cycling themed, in there I referenced the Boer War. And I did a lot of research around the Boer War and the cycling regiments. I also contacted the National Museum of Cycling in the UK to ask them about the specific bicycle that would have been used in the Boer War, right down to what colour it probably would have been, what kind of saddle it would have had. And it's great fun. So I often go down some rather enjoyable rabbit holes with the research. What else have we got? Oh yes, Patricia also asked, have you found an easy and logical way to organise the data? Short answer, no. Not so good at that. I have notebooks, and I use a particular brand of notebook, and they're all sort of in order for each book, and I have lots of notes in there, but there's no real logical process to it. And I have two very simple spreadsheets, one which is character names for each book, and a bit of a family tree, and then I have a timeline for the books overall and for individual books. But I'm not a big fan of spreadsheets and Excel, and they freak me out. So I use them as little as possible and just kind of fudge my way through organisation. So nothing particularly organised, Susan. Patricia. Next question is off Susan. This is a different subject entirely. And Susan asks, as a fellow cat lady, I'm curious if Pumpkin helps you write or plot. My 3 kitties are banned from my home office. Well, Pumpkin and Mocha are indoor cats, so they're currently back up at the house. They don't come down here. We did have one occasion when we had to bring them down here to the studio because we were having some work done in the house. And we don't ever want to repeat that. They were not happy. You'd have thought we'd have terrorised them for months of their lives. Yeah, they didn't enjoy it, and neither did I. So yeah, that's not happening again. They will remain safely in the house. But does Pumpkin help me write the books? Well, actually, I know that sounds like a kind of, fun and silly question, but the reality is that she kind of does. So, for example, I think it's Well Dressed to Die, once I've written the book, it kind of goes from my head. So I think it's Well Dressed to Die, that Mark is in Sophie's kitchen and can't find a hand towel or a tea towel, and his hands are wet, so he decides to dry them on Pumpkin, and Pumpkin is not best pleased. The real Pumpkin hates being handled with damp hands, even like minutely damp. She loathes it. And so, it's happened a couple of times where I think my hands are kind of dry and she just isn't happy. So I thought, it'd be an interesting way for Mark to tease Pumpkin. So that tiny little interaction has been, was in my head for months before I wrote the book. All the things that I write about Pumpkin are exactly what our Pumpkin does. Pumpkin is the same size, aka huge, and she has the same attitude. She is the same bossy, moody, judgmental bulldozer of a cat as the real Pumpkin. and the way she walks all over me in the bed, the way she likes to sleep on your back, or it's that's all the real Pumpkin. So she does completely inspire scenes and interactions. What next have we got here? Yeah, Mocha isn't interested particularly in celebrity. Mocha is very shy and quite nervous, so she likes to remain in the background. Pumpkin, on the other hand, is a complete and utter diva. Sally asks, how far ahead do you plan in the series? Are you thinking about the current book alone, or those beyond it as well? And do you have plans for any more series? Well, typically it's just the book that's in my head. I have often tried to make notes for the next book whilst writing on a current book, working on the current book. It just doesn't work. My brain really struggles to go there. I can just about do it with a short story, and then have a few ideas for those rolling around, but really it's the book I'm working on at the time. Towards the end, I will start to get the ideas for the themes of the next one. And there's one book which I have yet to write and has been in my head for a year or two now, but I wanted to wait, based on the theory that, hopefully I'm getting better with each book. This is a story that I really want to do justice for, give justice, you know what I mean. There will be a bunch of research required, and it's just something I'm hugely fascinated by anyway. So I'm waiting until I feel I'm kind of, got more skills, got more experience. And that's a Charterhouse one. So that one is there in the distance. I know, again, what the themes are. I know who is killed, why they're killed. I know all the supporting characters. So I'm really looking forward to doing it. But also sometimes if I'm really looking forward to a particular one, I'll sometimes put it off, because I tend to think on page they're never as good as they are in my head, and that can make me hold off a little bit. I have to get over that each time and crack on with the book, but this one I'm just waiting. It is probably about 2 books away, so maybe next year I'll be working on that one. Of course, I'm currently writing a book at Charterhouse. The next one I'll start working on is Joyce and Ginger, that's set in Scotland. Do I have plans for any more series? Yes, I currently have 4 series ideas floating around my head. 1 or 2 of them have been in my head for a very long time. 2 of them are spin-offs of Charterhouse, although one would not be cosy and would have some familiar characters but a very different theme. It would still a mystery but not cosy, not horribly uncosy, but wouldn't be classified as cosy. And then there's 2 other series that are unrelated to Charterhouse, and one of them was a very new idea, and it was sort of signed and sealed in my head a couple of nights ago, sat at a bar drinking quite a few cocktails, and by the end of the evening I was not only tipsy, but I had an idea for a series that I would like to write that is not related to any of the current work. So yes, 4 series currently bowling around in my head. I also plan on doing more short stories, because I actually really enjoy the creative process of writing a short story. So I'll be doing some of those. Okay, so those are the questions that have been sort of waiting in the wings. I've got 1 or 2 more, but I will come back to those in another video. What else? Right, so I will, if you've got questions that you want me to answer, and sorry, losing my way. I don't know whether I've had not enough coffee or too much coffee. And this is a theme in some other videos I've done for something else where, who knows, maybe it's nothing to do with coffee. Maybe this is just my random personality. Oh, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, I promise, I'm going to do more of these videos. I do actually quite enjoy doing them. Closest I get to kind of talking to you in person, which is nice. Be good if we could do it at a bar somewhere. But anyway, rambling again. Yes, I will do more. So please have questions for me. They don't have to do with books. They could be to do with anything. Other people's books. Coffee, cocktails, cats, life as an author, something utterly random. I don't know, just ask me a question. To do that, comment below this video on YouTube, because in theory you should be watching this video on YouTube and there's a space to write comments below. Please put your questions in the comments down there. Do not reply to the email. My inbox currently looks like a toddler has thrown a box of Lego around a room and is a little bit out of control, and I need to get it under control. So don't reply to the email. Reply in the comments below the YouTube video with your questions. The other thing I'm going to do in the YouTube comments, also comment down there to say, you know, what you thought of the video. Did you enjoy it? Just say hello. And everybody who comments down in the comment boxes, whether it's to ask me a question or to say hi, I will close my eyes, randomly point at the screen, and whoever's name I'm pointing at will get a signed copy of Well Dressed to Die. I will sort of get in touch with you through the miracles of technology, and it doesn't matter where in the world you are, I will send them anywhere. I've sent my books all over the globe so far, and will continue to do so. So yes, if you want a chance to win a signed copy of Well Dressed to Die, then put a comment down below. Okay, I'm going to stop prattling. I'm also going to stop procrastinating. Having said that, it's lunchtime, so I'll go eat some lunch, and then after that I'll come back and do some work. Got to finish this word count. So yes, time to stop procrastinating, time to I'll finish off the coffee, and I will do a video for you again in the future. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.